I'm getting too old for this shit. I am getting too old for this shit. I am getting too old for this shit. Oh shit. I'm getting way too old for this shit. Lord have mercy. Hey everybody, how's your Sunday going? So you want the good news or the bad news?
So let's see. What did Daddy forget to push?
Daddy forgot to add himself to the stage. That's what Daddy forgot.
Daddy's done that before.
Daddy's done that before.
Yeah.
Daddy's getting too old for this shit.
Daddy needs a list. Check.
Daddy's gonna have to make a list. Daddy's gonna have to make a list. Oh, this is gonna be fun to edit in post-production. This is gonna be so fucking fun to edit in post-production. Seriously. So for those that like maybe kept coming in and out within the past several minutes and like, there's supposed to be a show. I don't know what's going on. There's supposed to be a show. I don't know what's happening though. So let's break this down for you guys. So here's what happened. So we've been doing the show for the past 35 minutes. And the audio has been recorded. You guys didn't hear the shit though, because guess what? I didn't add myself to the stage. So we ain't doing that again. We ain't doing. We are not going through all that again. I'm just gonna do one nice ass. I'm gonna do one nice ass edit. Well, then again, we could do it again.
No, we can't.
We can do it again. We can just go over quickly.
No.
Nope. Tammy said, "Hey, Tammy rules. When she says no, when she puts her foot down." So this is going to be. So look, for the people that's going to listen on demand and on the downloads, they're not good. The audio version, they're not going to notice a damn thing. When I edit this for YouTube, it's pretty much. Wow, that's going to be fun. I think what'll happen with the YouTube version, I think I'll just give them the podcast version rather than the streamcast version.
Whichever's easier.
What's easier is they get, because see, look, if I try to give them the webcast version, if I edit it, it's gonna pick up pretty much where we are now. So it makes more sense to just delete that webcast version and give them the podcast version.
Yeah.
You follow me? Yeah. So y'all fucked. So sorry. That's one of those, like, if you want to know what we were talking about, you're just gonna have to check it out for on demand and on the download. Check out the audio. But you didn't miss that much. I mean, we still were kind of just going through the icebreakers, if you will. That normally, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. When we do this particular show, because we're not showing ourselves.
And it's been that long.
But mainly because we're not showing ourselves. What threw me off was the fact that I had my graphic. And then I just hit, okay, let's go live. I never even thought about adding to the stage. So no for next time. Anyway, following up on the very last thing that we were touching upon, Linda McMahon, now that she is the head of the educational department, she is pulling an Elliot Ness and is coming after motherfuckers that have their student loans in default and everything. Here's what she said on Fox News earlier in the week. I thought this was very interesting and very telling. Runs about 42 seconds. Check this shit out.
Have longer hours for them to call to find out if they have other options. We have actually an AI at home or buy for them. So we'd like to help them get out of default, but at the same time, this is something they owe. This is money they borrowed to go to school, and other taxpayers shouldn't have to pay this burden. I think that's very clear. Have longer hours for them to call to find out if they have other options.
Repeating.
Actually, an AI.
Now I wanted to play again just in case it had went mute.
Answer questions for them. So we're trying to put lots of plans in place so that people who do have loans outstanding can bring themselves up to date. You know, we have over 5 million people that are in default. And that means their credit scores are affected. If they want to buy a home or buy a car, it's very difficult for them. So we'd like to help them get out of default. But at the same time, this is something they owe. This is money they borrowed to go to school. And other taxpayers shouldn't have to pay this burden. I think that's very clear.
So I mean, on the one hand, I get where she's coming from. I truly do. I get the mindset. Um, I mean, eh, eh.
I
I'm
mean,
I'm kind of at a loss for words because there's a part of me that's going like I can't speak for anybody else. So you know what? I'll speak for myself.
mhm.
I know my first rodeo when it came to college, and life came at me pretty fast, unfortunately, because my first rodeo, I was 19, going on 20, and I got kicked out of my parents' home, because they pretty much was like, you need to go, go get your own place. Da, 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 da. And when I got hit with that, that was like a out of nowhere because the arrangement that I had made with them was I would go to community college and I would work and I would save as much money as I humanly could. And I was doing all of those respected things. And I was doing all of those respected things. But, you know, me and my mom, we didn't quite get along there. So, yeah. And so when I had to go out there and get my own place, life came at me pretty fast because it was okay. Now you got to worry about rent. Now you got to worry about feeding yourself. Anybody that's seen the infamous Cosby Show episode where Malcolm Jamal Warner, he's like, I'll be okay. I can make it on my own. And he starts getting charged, like it's the real world. I'll never forget when he went into the fridge and he was trying to make himself something to eat. And I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Cliff or if it was
Vanessa.
it was Vanessa.
Mhm.
I mean, man, he got charged out the ass. That shit was
Mhm.
hilarious, man. But
Mhm.
like my whole point, I couldn't juggle my education and all of that at the same time. And so I had a very difficult choice to make. I had to stop my journey in regards to school at that point in time. And as they say, and they mean it, it's the truth. You take a year plus off or something goes down like what happened with me, you just don't know. It could take a long time for you to come back full circle to getting back on the saddle again, and resuming your education and all. So I didn't know about defaults and payment arrangements, and I didn't have anybody that was giving me, sitting me down and giving me the 411 on what's what. I sure as hell didn't have any parents that were going over, what's what, because they weren't remotely even interested in it. It was just pretty much figure the shit out on your own, kind of one of those type of deals. And that sucks. So I speak on behalf of my generation, which is Generation X, that, for a lot of us, Generation X, we went through that type of bullshit, unfortunately. But the generations that came after us, my God, you guys got it made, because going through the whole financial process for your education today versus when it was our proper time, it is like night and day. There is so much information, there's so much resources that's available, right down to chatting it up with AI and everything, where you can know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and all of that. I know for my generation and a couple of others, it's one of those cases where, oh man, well, this is a lot of money to be paying. I can't really pay for this right now, but I can make payment arrangements. Let me at least do that so I can. And so I hear where Linda McMahon is coming from, which is, hey, you borrowed this money, and I'm definitely with her 1,000%. It's like, hey, you borrowed the money, it's for your education, right? Now you got to make good. You got to pay that back. And to her point about, hey, it can be hard to get a home, it can be hard to, she is absolutely right, because that shit never goes away. That shit
paid off. Nope.
Yeah, that shit follows you,
and it accrues with interest.
right? That shit follows you all the way up until you die.
Agreed. Actually, one of the people I work with, she, has 2 daughters who went through college, and who that bill that is incurred to her is a lot. Is a lot, and someone on a middle class salary, it's almost unthinkable on whether or not you could even pay that off. So, it's, it's one thing in reference to your schooling and scholarships and all of that. But with the looming AU, it also is like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I thought schools were expensive when I was getting ready to go to college or thinking about going to college. It's 3 times to 5 times worse now. So it's almost like, yeah, you want to get an education, but that is exorbitantly expensive.
Yeah. But I mean, look, between scholarships, grants, loans, everything that is available for a student, knowing what I know now and how I wish I would have back then, like the biggest piece of advice that I can give as somebody that has had previous student loans go in default, and then in order for me to even try to get new loans, grants, and all that, I had to go backwards and take care of that business and everything. The best piece of advice that I can give is, if you've got loans in default, well, first of all, May 5th, you're going to have to start paying that back. The best piece of advice that I can give is put your best foot forward. Call whoever is in charge of that loan, and whatever payment arrangements that you can make, they are so flexible. They realize that it's a lot of money. And I'm not telling you guys, everybody's situation is different. But the few times that I had hit them up before the Biden administration and, We had that, grace period and all that other stuff. Let me tell you something, man. Like, whether it was that period during the Biden administration or it was one of Obama's first terms, uh, I'm sorry, if not his first term, for sure his second term, or maybe Bush to a certain extent, they will work with you. You tell them what you can afford, you let them know what's going on, they can work with you. If all you can afford to do is like $50 a month or $20 a month, then that's what they will do for you. And like some programs, now I don't know if this current administration is going to have this program remain in place, but I know that in the past, I don't know if it's true today, but I know in the past there were some programs that was set up in a way where, okay, if you're continuing to make your payments for consecutive months, like for a 24, 36-month period, then you would reach a period where they basically would say, okay, you know what, as far as we're concerned, it's satisfied. So we'll forget about the rest of the money. Like, we pretty much got at least 50% of that back. You're good to go. I don't know if they'll still do stuff like that, but you owe it to yourself and definitely your credit to jump out there and see. The worst thing that you can do as a student that has a loan in default is not pay for the motherfucker. What is so important that we're live and who's got the ADHD now? Okay. No, but this is serious. I mean, it may not be an interesting topic to you, but so many of my classmates have genuine fear because for some of them, they feel like their educational journey is going to come to a screeching halt and that's the main point that I want to try to have be hammered home to these people is no, it's not the end of the world. It just means that now more than ever, you need to be on top of your shit. And whatever payment arrangements you're able to make with these guys, make sure and another piece of advice, and I'm not telling you something that I'm not going to be following myself, but when I do get ready to start paying back on my loans, I'm going to make sure that I have a designated. Can you just let her out? I'm going to make sure that they have a designated credit card / payment method where that's the only thing that the card is going to be set up for is for the student loan, so that whatever payment method they need to get each month, they'll be able to get their money easily without any fucking problem. So, but you guys owe it to yourself to jump out there, make sure that you make those arrangements. I mean, that is money. When you get right down to it, at the end of the day, you ask the government for help. And when you needed the help the most, the government stepped in and they gave you that money. That money was not so you could, fix your car or fix your home. Or now I know some people do that with whatever student loans grants that they get. And, look, my whole thing, for me personally, if you're asking me, I think it depends. If it's a situation where you're relying on your vehicle, for example, to get to and from, your classes and all that. Well, if you got to take that grant, that loan, you got to use part of that money to do what you got to do then you got to do what you got to do. I can sympathize. I can understand to a degree, some people doing that. But when it's all said and done, when you needed money for your education and you went to the government for help and the government gave you that money, yeah, you really can't be saying, how dare they, when they come saying, hey, it's time for you to pay that back. You can't, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And if you try to operate that way, rest assured, any future loans and grants that you may want in the near future, you ain't going to get the hookup, because what you did the first rodeo is going to continue to follow you like the scarlet letter. So it's not worth fucking around with. Make the arrangements now. Get yourself ready to go so that come May 5th, you guys will be on point, and you'll save yourself a lot of headache and drama for later on. You feel me? So it's funny too, by the way, talking about Linda McMahon and everything. It is so funny seeing how there are a lot of wrestling fans that's in disbelief over the fact that some of their favorite wrestlers are Republicans. So it's kind of one of those deals where we can't be friends. You know, I can't have anything to do with you because you're a Republican. And it's, damn, we're rolling like that. We're rolling that deep on the motherfucker. You know, so like, for instance, like now, obviously, some of the interviews that Roman Reigns has given, it's pretty obvious that, oh, he's a Trump fan. He voted for Trump. Like, okay. So now you see all this disdain. You see all this hate for Roman Reigns. You know, that goddamn Trump supporter, that goddamn, you know, you see that. And there's a few other people that's kind of made fans go, wait, they're a Republican and they voted for Trump. And it's, look, I can respect the hell out of somebody when it comes to their political views, no matter how they may vote. You know, I'm not going to use that over a person's head and treat them like a piece of shit. I'm not gonna do them like that. I think that's kind of unfair to operate that way, because, you know, if we were to treat people solely based on how they voted, man, the world would be a lonely, miserable fucking place. Being straight up real with you guys, it would be a straight up miserable, boring place. You know, it's like, okay, you know, who you vote for, like, at the end of the day, that's your business. That's your business. I always have a golden rule: religion, politics, those are just, unless you really, really know somebody like that, and you know that, hey, I can bring up this topic and it will be very civil. You know, we'll have a meeting of the minds. Things won't get heated. We'll be passionate. We'll go back and forth. But at the end of the day, everything will be cool. We'll be on the same page. If you got a situation like that where you know somebody that's really that fucking cool like that, and you can just talk about it, any and everything, like, that's great. But when you're really not sure how somebody is, certain topics like those is definitely, you want to stay clear of them, you know, because it could be a really bad scenario where, you know, friendships could be greatly fractured, relationships could end, and all of that other stuff. You know, it's so funny. We've gotten to a point now in society that, for instance, when it comes to social apps, especially dating apps, you know, now more than ever, you've got people that's going, if you voted for Trump, you know, or if you voted for Harris, you know, we can't be friends. You know, I don't want to know you. And, you know, it's like, it's like, really? We're really, you know, you can appreciate some people, you know, you can appreciate some people kind of, whether you want to call it weeding through the bullshit, vetting through the whole process, really trying to narrow down, you know, those that they want to be interacting with, and all of that. Like, yeah, you know, most people like people that are like-minded like them. But at the same time, nobody's trying to date themselves. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling the people how fans have been kind of livid over the fact that they just recently realized that Roman Reigns is a Republican, voted for Trump, and all of that, and it just now it's like once it's weird because like when we were growing up, if you found out somebody was a Republican, libertarian, and all of that, like it's just
They could all get along.
everybody could get along. But like now, even right down to the point, like social apps, dating apps, especially, if you voted for Trump, swipe left, and
Yeah.
it's really
It was it was getting a little bit that way prior to Trump, but when Trump was running, ooh, it was an all-out war between one side versus the other side. And it didn't slow down even when he was president, and then of course Biden's election, and of course that whole thing about voter fraud and all that crap. And then it just has continued to get worse. Well, I would say maintain it in reference to people are not as they're not as willing to accept the fact that someone believes different. Like, okay, if you believe different, then I really don't want to know you. And and it was it was never that way 15, 20 years ago. It was like, okay, I respect your opinion, you respect mine, but that is not the day and age that we're in anymore.
No, it's not. It's not, and it's quite sad, because if we're gonna be as a society that narrow-minded of, well, I can't be friends with you, or I can't be a fan of you anymore because you vote this way, you support this group, it's like, wow.
Well,
no, I mean really stop it. I mean really stop and think about that. Now look, granted, there are some overzealous, borderline crazy mofos that's out there. I do recognize that like you can tell them no wrong, and like you can have everything, hey, fact, here's audio, here's video proof, and that person just, they will always justify it or just deny it, and it's kind of like there's no reasoning with them. Okay, they are just mentally kind of off, right? Like it's established they are just mentally off, but I'm more interested in, so it's like they're a lost cause, so you can easily write them off, but I'm more interested in the ones that are level-headed, that are right. So when I hear some of these fans go, well, I used to be a Roman Reigns fan, but I'm not a Roman Reigns fan anymore because, man, he's a Republican. Oh, he voted for Trump. And it's like, well, wait a minute now. Very seldom does this man talk politics. It's pretty much his business. So the one time that he's talking politics, like all of a sudden he's public enemy number one. Like what he does on his personal time, like that's his business. You're not, I mean, really stop and think about this. When you go to the movie theaters, you're not going, gee, I wonder if Mahershala Ali believes in abortion. You're when you're watching your favorite TV show, I wonder if Jeffrey Dean Morgan supports gay rights. You're not thinking about any of that shit. Or when you're watching your favorite athlete, oh, I wonder if LeBron James whatever, fill in the blank. Like,
Mhm.
no, you're not thinking about any of that shit. You are thinking about being entertained.
Correct. Here's the part that a lot of people are missing the script, kind of, if you for what the lack of better words. You like a certain person, sports athlete, entertainment person, movie actor, sitcom actor, whatever have you.
Mm-hmm.
They are playing a role that is not that person. That person has a whole nother set of beliefs, values, whatever,
Mm.
that you really have no idea about unless they let you in. Now, unfortunately, probably for Roman Reigns, which is kind of sad to a point, but generally when people that get in that type of spotlight should not talk about those type of things in public. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't. That's not what I'm saying. Is people will then form your own opinion, their own opinions about you because of what you just said.
Mm.
Be it right, wrong, or indifferent, they're still going to form those opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're seeing is a character, not what they know of that. Because you guys know one thing for certain, two things for sure. What you see in front of your screen, I can guarantee you is not the person that you get when you meet them in person. 95% of the time, that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Just silly rhetoric. Silly rhetoric. Again, it's just it's just so nerve-wracking because I wish we as a society, particularly us Americans, I wish we could just hold to true these words. Politics, religion, gay rights, don't talk about it at the table. Because it just seems like there's
yeah.
always
Though those are three source subjects of contention.
Yeah.
And generally, if you've got 10 people in the room, you might have 7 that agree with you and 3 that don't.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just everybody is essentially entitled to their own opinion.
Right.
But here's the thing, and this is something that we've lost, and please know that this is just me saying what I believe as a whole.
Mm.
But when you do that and you talk about those things, nobody wants to hear the other side. They just believe that their side is right. So now, be it, politics, be it gay rights, be it, federal policies, whatever have you, it's and there's so much listening to respond versus being informed.
Mm. Mm. Here. Yeah. I got nothing to add to that. You hit it dead on the nail. So if wrestling fans are complaining about that person's a Republican, a lot of fans are still pretty sour over the WrestleMania 41 finish between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. And rightfully so. Look, I've seen all the comments. Look, we were there live the night after night 2 of WrestleMania. I was on the air. I did the post show. I gave you guys my instant raw reactions. I wasn't feeling the whole Travis Scott shit. I wasn't feeling, I was more interested in the moment for John Cena, 17-time world champion, but the whole Travis Scott thing, I didn't particularly care for. And I get what WWE is trying to do with the whole, hey, we're in the celebrity crossover era. Look at us. We're cool. We're hip because these people are coming to see us, and we're doing this. And our wrestlers are going over here. They're doing this show and that show, and they're doing this movie, and they're doing this guest spot, and see, we're hip, we're cool, man, we're cool. Like I get that and everything, but you know, for a lot of fans to go, and rightfully so, oh well, if Travis Scott is there, oh then The Rock is there, and you don't get The Rock. And yeah, you're, because you've been led,
Yeah, conditioned.
you've been conditioned a certain way, that this is what you're expecting. And let me tell you something, it does not help when you go to Las Vegas, and at the WWE venue, they've got a commemorative, finally, The Rock has come back to Las Vegas t-shirt for sale. Now you guys can tell me, oh, but Lee, that was kind of recycled from some last time that WWE was in Las Vegas for an event. Like, you can try to spin it however you want to spin it. I'm like this, from a marketing, public relations standpoint, and I know a thing or two about marketing because I worked in marketing for almost 10 years. If I am being made available t-shirts that read that, a fan is going to get the impression Rock is doing something here tonight. He's gonna fucking show up.
Right.
Oh, I want to definitely here. Take my money. I'm about two. I don't want 3 shirts.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You want a shirt, Timmy? Yeah. Shit, 4 shirts. So that did not help. That would be no different than Wu-Tang Clan. I'm a big fan of Wu-Tang Clan. I know these days Method Man, he's off and he's doing his own thing with the acting, and he's loving that now more than ever and everything, right? But if Method Man is doing a series of interviews, you just don't know when the METHOD man is going to show up, and he's teasing the fuck out of, oh well, Wu-Tang Clan, they're doing this big show, it's commemorating, I don't know, 25 years since this album came out, and yeah, man, it's gonna be big, it's gonna be epic, man. Like, you just don't know who's gonna show up, you just don't know who's gonna be there. And if you got Method Man saying that shit, and oh well, are you gonna be there? You just gonna have to, continue to pay attention to the news and find out. You'll just have to wait like everybody else. You're being conditioned. Method Man's doing something. Method Man's doing something. He's gonna, oh, we're getting Method Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes, right, you go to the venue and you got METHOD man shirts and all kinds of shit. And then, all right, here we go. And Method Man's not there. So I feel for the fans that were like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? So we got some damage control. So Rock could not do WrestleMania at all, but Rock pops up, what was it? If not Monday, definitely Tuesday on the Pat McAfee show to talk about WrestleMania. So wait, so you can't show up to WrestleMania, but you could go on the Pat McAfee show and you can talk WrestleMania. Like, how the fuck does that work? Riddle me that. So I got some audio that I want to play of The Rock here, and very interesting what he had to say here. Let me pull this up. I've got it around here somewhere. So, with regards to why The Rock did not get involved in the Cody Rhodes, John Cena finish there, this runs about 3 minutes, 18 seconds. I want you guys to hear The Rock in his own words here. This will be brand new for Tammy because she's never heard this before. By the way, interesting reactions that Pat McAfee is getting online. Somebody created this thread. I think it was Wrestle Ops, and they asked the question, "What do you think about Pat McAfee?" And I see a lot of mixed reactions, a lot of hate for the guy, a lot
Mhm.
of love. Where do you stand with Pat McAfee? Because you've seen your fair share of of he's not even a color commentator. Let's really make sure we he's a analyst. He's not
Mhm.
even really an analyst. I would call him a spectator, but
Mhm.
he's a good spectator.
Mhm.
I think.
Mhm.
What do you think about Pat McAfee
Um,
compared to some of the other
I
guys you've
think I
seen?
think you're correct. I think he is a good spectator, good mouthpiece. But for me, I think some of the newness, shiny penny is rubbing off
Mm.
in reference to. I don't particularly think, like, at first it was kind of like, oh, Pat McAfee's on tonight's show, great, okay, and you watch the show and what have you, and now it's kind of like, okay, he's here.
Mhm.
And so I think some of the excitement that was swirling around at one time, I don't know that it's as much there as it used to be.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Kind of feel a little because I have been noticing that the Pat McAfee from 3 years ago, Pat McAfee these days seems a little bit mellowed out. That I'm not gonna say the freshness of, that aura. I'm not gonna say that it's wearing off. No, I'm in a different direction. It kind of feels more like the best way I can sum it up. Whatever was good about Pat McAfee, it kind of feels like some things were removed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's because now he's just kind of going through the motions.
Or if they told him how he could be,
Right.
and we'll never know
We'll
that.
never
But
really know. I mean, because you would like to believe that no, everything is still now. Look, granted, I'll give him an out. I'll give him an out. When you're doing your show, your radio show 4 or 5 times a week, and
Mhm.
then you've got your responsibilities in covering college football and then NFL,
Mhm.
and then you're going on tour, maybe you're doing some shows or whatever, comedy shows, whatever you're doing, and then you got to do this thing with WWE. Now granted, that can be a lot.
Mhm.
That can be a lot.
Mhm.
I know in the case of Jonathan Coachman, who at one point juggled WWE and ESPN, he ultimately decided, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't juggle. Let me go with ESPN,
Mhm.
you know?
Agreed.
So I don't know if maybe Pat is starting to kind of maybe get to that point where it's
Maybe.
kind of challenging, but
Maybe that's possible. I mean, there's a couple of different aspects that you could go with that. I think that's one. The other one is oversaturation.
mm,
In reference to, you're seeing that person all the time, and they're kind of merging the two in reference to his show versus WWE, and I get that part.
mhm,
But oversaturation could be another. The other is the elements that made him stand out at one time aren't necessarily some of the elements that you see now, and you're like, okay. So, and maybe there's a combination of a few of those,
mm,
to where some people are, great, and then some people are like, but then that just goes to, the power of choice in reference to, which way the wind's blowing. Um, as far as, just like, anybody remember Dolph Ziggler? He used to
mm.
be hot, white hot in WWE. And then he fell off the face fucking earth. So, this business is very much, it's almost like how much of a good thing is too much. And then it fades out because of oversaturation, or that spark that was there needs a new gimmick, reinvent, or a reinventation, of that person, so that it can be new, it can be fun, just like, okay, you guys love the Shield. I personally love the Shield. And then it was like, oh shit, what are we doing now? We're breaking up the Shield. And it's just, the difference of, okay, what's going on now, and how can we make it new and fresh and make it work? But there is a transitional period within that time.
Maybe it's good that fans are continuing to get Pat the way that they're getting him, which is basically in drips.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Because I think that if they had him full time, I don't know that he would be as much of a hype as he is now.
yeah, I would agree with that. Let's listen to this. It's about 3 minutes, 18 seconds. The Rock being interviewed by Pat McAfee earlier this week.
Let's talk about you saying the final boss needs to step away to, kind of let the spotlight be where it should be with John and Cody, who, potentially you talk about John being the GOAT. There's a chance Cody, when it's all said and done, is also trying to vie for a spot on that Mount Rushmore rock with his dad on the backside with you raising your eyebrow. A lot of people just assumed you were going to show up. So when Travis Scott comes out, they think there's a chance of maybe, there's going to be a reunion from the Elimination Chamber. What are your thoughts on Travis Scott getting involved? And you saying, I need to stay out of that. Was there ever a moment anybody was trying to tell you differently? Like, no, final boss. Anytime you're around is a good thing, not a bad thing.
No, they don't have to say anything like that to me. They know when I come to them, and them meaning Triple H and Nick and Ari as well, and I lay this out and I say, hey, here's how I really feel it should go. We can insert final boss in the end of this finish, but then where do we go? There's other commitments that I have, and I want to also be careful that we're not overstepping and leading over our skis too much here. Can get involved in the finish, and I said, but why get involved in that finish when the spotlight should just be on, in my opinion, John, 17, heel champion? What does 2025 look like if this man is saying he's going to ruin professional wrestling? That, to me, is the anchoring storyline. It's not soul right now. Right now, it's not. But by the way, we'll go back to it.
Still got it. Still
we'll go back to soul. Look, I can't think the text that I got and from the guys that I got were these top guys who were saying, one in particular who I love, is my guy. I call him the Superman of the company. He's like, listen, my soul's for sale when it's time. And I love it. Let's do it. So, look, I love Travis Scott involved. I'll tell you why. Because he loves wrestling. He's a huge fan, and he respects it. He's working his ass off. I know that he has plans to train with Booker T. I don't know if it's happening already. It might be. Not quite too sure there on his schedule, but he loves the business. Now, I was just as surprised to see Travis Scott as well, and I knew the moment I saw Travis, well, that immediately amplifies, well, here comes the final boss. And so again,
yes.
I love.
Yes,
they were waiting.
Yeah, I think I texted you as it was happening. Holy shit!
You were like, "Are you coming out?" And I was like, "No, dude. I would tell you I'm coming out. I'm not big you." But again, I love, at the end of the day, North Star, John Cena, heel champion, 17, the GOAT, says he's going to ruin wrestling. Now we tune every week in every week to see how it happens, how that goes down. Some parts of it I would have just adjust a little bit more. I would have finessed it a little bit more.
But it was a great WrestleMania. I think you all should be incredibly proud. Would have been awesome for just
Yeah, whatever. So, like, couple of points of observation here. One, I think The Rock is looking at what happened with last year's WrestleMania and the build up to that. And how, remember, originally it was supposed to be The Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody stepping aside, and then all the backlash. No, he should tell his story. He should finish his story. No. And Rock basically going, okay, well, this is what they want. Okay, maybe I'm kind of overstepping my bounds a little bit here. Okay, well, maybe we should go ahead and let Cody go ahead and finish his story and everything. And but if we're gonna do that, how do we have Cody basically tell me to fuck off? And we saw what ultimately came of that. And then you're like, oh, wow. So we've got some seeds planted here for a Rock Cody feud, down the line. We could do something at SummerSlam, or we could do something okay, all right, cool. And then, after the dust has settled, Cody has finished his story, all that nice little goodness. Next thing we know, fast forward, we got Rock coming out. Yeah, Rock and Cody are good friends. Rock and Cody been drinking together, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? And that gets panned. And you got The Rock saying, know your role, shut your mouth, enjoy the ride. I'm 20 steps ahead of you. And it's like, well, that may be true, but man, you just went like bipolar Rock on us, because what happened here? How did we go from you and Cody and I'm gonna get your blood, Cody, I'm gonna put it on this belt, and how do we go from that to, yeah, Rock and Cody, good friend, we were drinking it up, hot damn. That's me smacking my my arm, because he likes to do the whole goosebump shit, right? So we go through all that. I kind of get the impression that because of everything that happened at that point, Rock maybe decided, okay, you know what? Let me just scale back a little bit here, because, obviously the fans, they are fixated on. So now what's not included in that clip, how The Rock got involved in the first place with this whole Cody, give me your soul. Ari Emanuel, right? Hits up The Rock going into the Elimination Chamber, like a few weeks before Elimination Chamber. Hey, Rock, I need a favor, man. Elimination Chamber, not really doing that good. This is the last pit stop before WrestleMania. I need something that is like hook, line, sinker, that's going to get people going. Yo, gotta watch Elimination Chamber, because the money that's coming in right now for this, it's not looking good. Do me a solid. Come on in here. So Rock is like, okay, so what can we do? What can we? And so he's like, okay, well, I'll confront Cody, and I want your soul. And then Triple H, he's like, yeah, that's pretty good, Rock, but John Cena said he'd be willing to go heel. So it's like, okay, well, let's figure out a way to somehow combine both of these then. And yeah, that'll sell. And I guess Rock decided that after Elimination Chamber, after his whole, thing, it's like, okay, well, my job is done, which, as we heard him say, my job is done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Cena's heel, 17-time champion. He's going to ruin wrestling. That sells itself. Let's go there. Here's where I push back on that. Well, not for nothing, but we saw John Cena lose. Hang on. We saw John Cena lose at the Royal Rumble. We saw him. Wait. No, John Cena won the Royal Rumble. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said that wrong. He won the Royal Rumble. Wait. I'm getting. Elimination Chamber, he just no wrestle. No, I'm remembering it right. So he lost at the Royal Rumble, went to Elimination Chamber, and won the right to face Cody at WrestleMania. Keep in mind, The Rock, it's not like The Rock interfered, had some goons help John Cena on his behalf. John Cena went and did the damn thing. And then think about all those weeks where when we didn't have John Cena on the microphone, you could have easily slid The Rock right in there, say a thing, and then he's done. Never happened. So it almost kind of feels like as if The Rock just decided, yeah, well, I've done this, so now I'm good, and I'm kind of remembering all the stuff that happened from last year. So lesson learned. I don't really think he truly realized how integral of a part he was supposed to be for this, and how conditioned.
When you start something like that, as far as that piece and that promo that he did, and I get other commitments, but man, it's so integral of what he was trying to do that it actually, when it didn't happen, sort of came out, like a wet fart.
Yeah. And it's gotten to the point now where some people, it's being speculated, and there's nothing wrong with speculating. So as long as you let it be known that you're speculating, but there's chatter that with regards to Triple H and his creative, WWE might be hot on all cylinders, selling out live events and everything, but the creative is struggling in many areas. And that basically there is potentially a power struggle within between The Rock and Triple H, because it goes as far back as when The Rock came in a few years after Triple H, and he had the whole DX thing going on, and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, they looked at The Rock as a threat, and they did any and everything to try to sabotage him, but Rock would not be denied. Rest is history, as they say. And some would say, Rock doesn't forget. And I'm sure probably Triple H, Paul Levesque would never believe in 1,000 years that he'd be with the WWE. Just when you think you have absolute power, here's The Rock, but The Rock is your boss. That creates a very interesting dynamic. One thing that was very, very telling, and I'm glad a few more people had picked up on this, because I noticed it off the break. I didn't mention it deliberately though, because I just wanted to see like how many people were gonna catch on to it. But when Triple H had did his Hall of Fame speech, he went on and on and on and on and on for an hour plus. I think he got up to 70 minutes actually. All the people that he thanked never thanked The Rock.
Interesting.
Never thanked The Rock. And then this video surfaces from last year. Think back to what went down with Cody and finishing the story and all that other stuff. What's going on there with that Ring doorbell? Somebody's knocking on our door. What's going on?
Ain't that the pastor?
Are they at our door?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, ain't that the...
The hell is that about?
I don't know. Or one update that my mom just gave me that I'll tell you in a minute.
That involves them or?
No.
We'll see what's going on here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Well, where's your mom at the door?
Oh, I guess whatever it was, she handled it.
No, this was earlier.
Yeah, she brought in when she was coming in.
Let me refresh. Where's your? Oh, there it is. Sorry about that, guys, but it's live. It happens. Quick replies. No video found. Go live. That was weird. Why was he at the door? Anyway, that's the one that lives next door, right?
I think so.
All right, what the hell does he want? What was I saying? Oh, I was talking about this video that's aged quite well with regards to some comments Triple H had to say last year in regards to The Rock. Let's see if I can find that real quick here. Should be. I'm going to come across it. Here it is. This is about a minute 27. Just think back last year, Cody, Triple H, The Rock, that infamous press conference, Rock getting in Triple H's face afterwards, all that other shit. Now, this might be a really good case where the lines begin to blur, but when you just look at the totality of stuff, even going all the way up to now.
Some people don't know their role. So I wanted to come out here and, I don't know, just set the record straight because I felt like there are people that went out there and tried to assert their authority when they don't really have any. Because here's the thing, I really don't care where you sit. There's one thing that is abundantly clear here, whether people like them or they don't like them, the answers come from one place and one place only, and right now you are looking at it. There are some people back there that decision will disappoint them, that maybe they won't like that decision. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter if you don't like that decision. So with that said, welcome to the road to WrestleMania.
I think I actually remember that segment. I mean,
Well, wait, hold it.
Okay.
I got a little bit more for you to marinate on, you and everybody else. Dave LaGreca busted open. He had addressed the Rock's response to criticisms about WrestleMania, and it's a now infamous clip there where LaGreca voiced his complaints about the final boss's lack of involvement at WrestleMania, and it was an epic rant, and The Rock had responded on Instagram telling the Busted Open radio host that the business is a complete work and to stop ranting. It's not healthy. Enjoy the show. But keywords that I want to home in on. Rock said to LaGreca, you're more than welcome to join me. You're welcome to join. And he just started naming off Cody, Cena, and there was like one other person in the whole creative process.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was interesting that he didn't mention Triple H. Thought it was interesting he didn't mention Triple H.
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, wait a minute. It's like you don't mention Triple H. I mean, unless I missed it, maybe he said Paul and it was just a quick, but I don't remember him mentioning Triple H there. And so you have that little piece of element there. And I know Bully, who is it here? LaGreca following up on what the Rock had to say here, saying, I love professional wrestling. I love professional wrestling because it's unlike any form of entertainment or sport. I'm passionate about it because I dive into it. And it's not about, oh, it's real to me, damn it, but it is. You guys put your bodies on the line anytime you step into a wrestling ring. You're putting your health and your body on the line. It's no more real than that. That's as real as it can possibly be. So when you say it's a work, I don't need to be reminded. I know that. I'm trying to fight that off from everybody outside of our circle. I don't need somebody inside the circle who sits at the highest mountaintop in the business, which is the WWE, to tell me it is not real. I already know that. I already know it's not real. Following up on the Rock there, all due respect, Rock, all due respect, Mr. Dwayne Johnson. I appreciate what you've done for me and for this business, but what you put in the response, what you put in that response, I thought was wrong and it hurt me. It actually, I'm not angry about it. I'm actually hurt and disappointed with the response. Um, you know, so that's where we are with The Rock. The whole Triple H aspect. We've got The Rock coming out there doing press conferences and all kinds of shit where he is acting like he is the Spike Lee of directors, and he's telling you all this elaborate shit. We've got John Cena who does a WrestleMania press conference. He's asked a couple of questions and he's like, I appreciate that question, but I'm not going to answer that. And meanwhile, same thing is basically given to The Rock or whatever. And Rock is given a 10-minute, thesis. And, so you got all that going down where The Rock is like, he's really pulling that fucking curtain back. You've got Triple H who's talking about be a fan, be a spectator. Don't be a critic. Don't be sitting down writing the thesis paper. Don't try to understand how the sausage is made. And yet we've got this new WWE docu-series coming out in the next several weeks called WWE Unreal, where Triple H is at the helm and he's showing you what all happens in the creative process. So that's it in a nice, pretty little ribbon.
There's so much in that to unpack. I mean, whew, sometimes with certain things, it's nice to see behind the scenes, and for those diehard fans who could care less about whether it's fake or it's not, I wonder if doing that, as far as it's actually lessening the mystique of what is called professional wrestling. So, but why contradict yourself? If you believe one way, fine. But then when someone else is doing it, then it's a problem. But you essentially are already doing something that is unveiling that curtain. That doesn't make any sense. To be honest with you, the signs feel like that there's a power struggle. And,
right.
That could be a serious blow to WWE.
Yeah.
Within that power struggle.
But do you think that WWE will be okay if The Rock, if The Rock maybe is able to have it his way, and if maybe somehow Triple H is oust.
Uh,
Because now you got this rumor running around. I mean, there's so much that's going on here. Like, it's
it's
interesting.
almost
Yeah,
you
go
really
ahead.
don't know what to believe. I think that there is so much engine to WWE, so much power
Mm.
that it is not just one person. Okay.
Okay.
If we're dissecting that, then the world should have stopped revolving when Vince McMahon left as WWE as we know it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he's the man behind the product. He was the person that created it. He was the person that whatever. But there's too many irons in that fire to let it rely on one person. What's going to essentially be a downfall, one, is obviously the internal struggle and a very weak creative.
Yeah.
That's how you stop WWE.
It's times like these where, whether people want to admit it or not, it's times like these where you go, you know what? Say what you will about the old man, Vince McMahon, but for the most part, he did his best to tighten shit up.
Oh yeah.
Like that shit with Cena and The Rock and
Mhm.
Cody, like there wouldn't have been a WrestleMania that would have went down like that. Now, there's
True.
an interesting theory that's out there where some people are going, maybe they just couldn't afford to pay The Rock because, you know, his price tag is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they couldn't pay him
Oh, Jesus
to.
Christ, you're sharing the damn place.
Yeah, but when you need to do that's a separate
Separate.
thing
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
okay, we need you now as a talent.
Right.
So
Maybe.
maybe it's possible that they just couldn't, and when they couldn't, you
I
know,
mean,
Rock's like, okay, well, you know, I'm good.
one would venture to guess, at least let me say, I would venture to guess that if there is that big of an internal power struggle, and it seemed like the Triple H, Paul Levesque, Shawn Michaels show, one could have said, fuck it. Let them see how they do it without me. And just not show.
That's also possible. What do you think about the possible idea? It's a far-fetched idea. But what do you think about the possible idea that WWE has somehow been planting seeds these past couple of years of a potential Triple H Rock match?
Well, considering that Triple H can't wrestle anymore, I don't know how that would go.
Going back to the Royal Rumble kickoff, just to refresh people's memory, fans were chanting one more match, trying to urge Triple H to compete one more time. And he was real quick to respond to fans saying, look, 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 I live for giving you what you want. You don't want that, and neither do we.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of people that didn't see his interview with Stephen A. Smith, and he's talking about how he's got this
the defibrillator.
Yeah, which is basically zapping him
to make his heart go back into rhythm. Yes.
Right. It's like, do we really want to see?
No. No.
Right. Whether he has a device on or not, it's like, do we really want to, knowing what we know, it's like, do we really want to see him in a match?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what, and for me, no.
No.
Because whether you can do it physically or not, that is a major thing.
And I would imagine after the shocking passing of Bray Wyatt,
right?
I would imagine Triple H is going, yeah, I don't really want to take no chances.
Mm-hmm. Because up until he had that emergency surgery for his heart, Triple H was guaranteed at WrestleMania every year.
At least at the minimum, yeah.
At minimum.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that there's a piece of him that misses that in ring competitions and storytelling, but not at the risk of his health.
Right.
So
you're shooting that down. You don't
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to have a bum knee. It's another thing to have neck surgery and they have cleared you. You've got what you need to do a wrestling match and be okay.
Right.
It's a whole nother thing to have a defibrillator in your chest to essentially keep you going, and the amount of strength and endurance that takes to even get you ready for a match with that type of thing.
Yeah.
If I were in Triple H's shoes, I wouldn't want to risk it either. I want to see my daughters graduate, get married, have kids. And if I do this, then it's damn near guaranteed that I won't do that.
Right.
So it's not about the company, it's about self-preservation.
Right. So you're under the mindset.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't either. It sucks that we even have to entertain this, but it seems like it's been picking up more momentum for the reasons that we just outlined with regards to this whole power struggle. And then some people are like, well, maybe this is part of a deeper story plot. I'm not buying that.
And
I think there is a power struggle.
Yes.
I legit do. And I think there's still animosity and, it's definitely a perfect case of be careful how you treat people on your way up.
Oh, yes.
Because you just don't know, because things come full circle.
Yes, they do.
And now it's kind of one of those you're reaping what you sow.
Yep, karma is biting you right in the ass.
But I don't see this potential, one more match.
Well, here's the thing is you got the WWE and wrestling audience has been conditioned to hope that a person will come back to do something like that. One more match. Hell, you got it last year with Steve Austin. So the conditioning is there. So yeah, you're going to get people who are going to say that. But me, as in knowing what I know as my medical profession, no. And that's why I just said it's about self-preservation at this point versus, giving the company what it wants at the risk of his own health. It's like I said, it's one thing for a bum knee. You can fix that shit. How many surgeries has Undertaker had?
Yeah.
But those are minor compared to this, essentially the thing that makes you alive.
Yeah.
So it's a secondary, versus, the two major things is your brain and your heart. And everything else is like, I could fix that, get a new one. Yeah, okay. Well, you can't do that you can, but who would want to, and there's just so many other medical legalities and things that could go wrong and what have you. But why would one want to do that? I get the storylines and I get the fact that, people have wanted. And, another thing that it kind of leads me into is every now and then I see some stills, saw a couple of videos, and I know that CM Punk is giving it his all, but I would say within the next 5 years, I don't think there's going to be a CM Punk wrestling. His body is wearing out.
Yeah.
He's given it his all, but it is.
Yeah.
And, so basically it's the same, spectrum of my body is telling me that I can't do this anymore. And that's it.
Yeah.
Can I help it and be there in different ways, yes. But with the physicality of this particular thing, I can't do that.
So you're taking CM Punk up to age 50 and then he's out, or are you
How old
gonna?
is he now?
I think he's 45 going on 46 right now. I'm pulling a Ernie Johnson right now with the sticky notes here.
I'm thinking he's probably out within the next 3.
Give me a second here. Oh wow, CM Punk just turned 46 in October.
Okay. So, yeah, 3 to 4. I'd say 3 to 4.
So what is this? 2025, 26, 27, 28. Okay, so yes or no? You still got CM Punk wrestling as of 2029
No.
or 2030?
I'd say 2028, maybe 2029, but I don't really think so.
Let me write this down. Give me a firmer
I say another 2 or 3 years, maybe.
give me a firmer number. When I say firmer number, you gotta be 2 years tops or 3 years tops. Give me a firmer number. So he's 46 right now.
I say 2 years tops.
25. And you're gonna say 2 years tops, just based on what you're seeing right now. You're saying 2 years tops, so that will take him to what's
27.
That's that 48. That's
Yes.
48
Mhm.
going on 49. Birthday's in October. Okay. So you got him 2027.
Mhm.
I am going to say I would imagine he signed a 5-year deal with WWE.
I heard rumors that they were trying to get him to re-sign to a 3-year deal, and he wasn't sure because of his current health.
What, they were trying to add more time?
No, like, when is his contract up?
I'm thinking it's a 5-year deal. Because he inked it. He came back when he come back last year or a year before?
I think it was the year before.
It was a year before. It was a year before. So he's been back now 2 years.
Mm-hmm. I think
so he's got 3 years left.
Trying to add on more.
They're trying to add on more?
And he's saying he's not sure. At least the speculation that I'm hearing. I'm not saying that this is fact. I'm not saying it's just, what word around the water cooler kind of thing.
I'm gonna take him 46. I'm gonna take him to 49 going on 50. I'm gonna say he makes it to because he is essentially already wrestling on like a part-time basis. He basically has the Shawn Michaels deal pretty much going right now. So as long as he can keep doing what he's doing right now, cut promos, all that good stuff, do some tag matches here and there, all that good stuff, like current program, looks like he's definitely going to be working with Roman Reigns a lot more as Paul Heyman has formed this new alliance and everything. So that's gonna help Punk quite a bit for the next several months. I'm gonna give Punk until 2029. I can see him 49 going on 50, 2029, pretty much phasing out and not going that far. He'll be at the Performance Center, helping out HBK and all that other good stuff. So you're going with 2027. So you're going with 2 years. I'm going in 2 years. I'm going with 2029. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But interesting Interesting what's going on there with the Triple H stuff. That's kind of one of those uh Triple H and The Rock. That's kind of one of those to be continued. But forgive us if we're not going to continue to beat the horse to death over the lack of finish for Cody versus Cena, because it's like, what more needs to be said, especially when it was said on the post show. It's like
Right.
there's really nothing more to say except, well, if you had two pairs of you had a set of eyeballs, you know what you saw,
Hmm.
and you knew it wasn't good, and it definitely did not. I think The Rock made matters worse by coming out and doing an interview. He should have just kept silent and
Yes.
kept it moving along. The
Yes.
fact that he responded, it
Mhm.
makes him look bad. It makes the
And it
WWE
and it
look
makes the
bad.
company look bad.
You know,
Absolutely.
definitely
He
makes them
really
look
should have
bad.
just kept his mouth shut.
Yeah,
Because then it could have just been one of those, oh fuck, that was bad, and keep it moving.
right. And then to respond to Dave LaGreca, it's like, Rock, what the fuck are you thinking?
And the funny thing is, everything doesn't need, not a funny thing, everything doesn't need a response,
No,
especially in the entertainment industry.
right.
Honestly, sometimes no response gets you a better pop, a bigger pop.
Yeah.
Don't need to respond.
Well, I can tell you this much going forward, at least for this particular series, I'm good with everything else with the other shows. But with this series, I definitely got to make sure that I have a checklist so that we don't have any audio hiccups like that again, because this is going to be kind of fun editing and post production, but it's going to be easy. So I think what's going to happen, I'm going to the audio was recorded, so everything is fine with the audio. I just got to trim, merge that, boom. So I will probably have the encore of this play. If I don't do it later today, I'll have it set up sometime tomorrow for you guys to hear. Because for those of you that's tuning in, unfortunately, the first 30 minutes of the show, no audio. You guys don't hear nothing. You hear silence. Well, we're talking the whole time. That's because I didn't add the audio and all that to the stage. So luckily, it was recording in the background on the mixer. So the audio was preserved. So you guys are going to get a audio version, kind of what you're getting right now, except you're going to hear the first 30 minutes of the show, which is definitely important, because when Tam said, nope, I'm not doing this over, it's kind of like, well, good thing we were recording in the background.
He also said we're not going 3 hours, and guess what? It's been that.
No, I've been paying attention to time. It's actually only 2 hours and 17 minutes that the counter's been on. So we actually did pretty good. Yeah,
Okay.
we actually, well, remember, you left at one point to chat it up with your mom.
Yeah.
So, and I had to try to kill some time and all that. Shout out to our sponsors. Love them tremendously. One new sponsor that I'm working with, I've got to read what these guys are about here and actually sit down and create their ad. This is kind of one of those deals where I need to figure out exactly. I browsed their site. Shout out to the guys over there at LJ Discounts. Look them up. Apparently, you can get 60% off your subtotal if you're a first-time buyer when your cart is over $100. Just type in deal, like, big deal, in the coupon box at checkout, and you'll be able to get the hookup. Again, that's for our friends at LJ Discounts. 60% off subtotal for first-time buyers when your cart is over $100. Type in deal in the coupon box at checkout, and you'll be able to get that hookup. I saw that they sell drones, phones, watches. I think they even sell Apple watches as well. menswear, sportswear, sell all kinds of really cool stuff that's on there. Be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. Get at me all throughout social media. Look, I appreciate those of you that follow me on Blue Sky. It's a little tricky though, because if you guys aren't noticing, when it comes to my social media these days, I'm typically copying and pasting. That's it. I mean, if I'm not copying and pasting, I have shit that's automatically generated. That is, so I would say if you want to try to get my attention on social media, the best way to really do it, I would recommend, especially if you're like looking for a reply back, I would recommend, if not YouTube, if you have the Twitter, definitely try the Twitter. Um, I kind of like Blue Sky, but it's kind of one of those. I'm not gonna spend all day on the bitch. You know, it's like just a quick copy paste and just. I look at it as one of those ways to really get the brand out and try to pick up more followers and all that other good stuff. So, I will probably never invest in TikTok. I still can't rap. Shout out to those that's making money off of TikTok. Seriously, I mean, there are people that's making buku's money. I know I got to incorporate it in my line of work in journalism. So I'm not giving up on it completely, but at the same time, it's just kind of like all that other shit. Well, I'll figure out the algorithm eventually. Yeah, it's kind of one of those. I'll figure it out eventually. We got another show coming up for you guys Monday night after WWE Raw goes off the air. So tune in for that. That'll be a good post show. We'll go a lot more all over the place, including some recent comments from Brian Danielson, about his in-ring return status. Doesn't look good. Give you that spoiler right now. We'll dive into that and loads more on the Monday night edition of the RCWR show, which you'll be able to catch this Monday night, April 28th, 2025. She's the beautiful and the lovely Tammy Lee Sanders here. We're wishing you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. We will see you next go round. Adios.